Diana White is with me right now. I guess we should say hello.
Hi.
So I have like this new setup, guys, which is great that the guys were able to get working. So I should sound a little bit different than I typically do, which is a good thing. Diana, we'll get you hooked up like this too in time. You just are kind of tied to your computer. So like I can't really walk around like I typically do. I just kind of sit there on the couch and talk. But we have a good show tonight.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we've got Quentin coming back on. He was excellent when he was on last time, and he's been nice enough to come back on with us again. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to having a bunch of callers. So if you guys want to call in, the number would be 567-314-9087, and you can call in and say hello. You're very quiet tonight, Diana. I don't know if I like this very much.
I am quiet tonight. I got up from a nap about 30 minutes ago, so I'm not sure if I'm even awake yet.
I know, I feel the same way. I'm kind of blah. I'm feeling blah tonight. I don't know why. I'm just blah. But what are we going to talk about this evening? Looking forward to having a bunch.
Well, we're going to be a little political and a little mystical and try and figure out what exactly is going on with all the secrets being revealed. Are people actually waking up because of a veil that's kind of being lifted, or is it both, or is it just one is causing the other, that sort of thing. So,
and what are your
thoughts
like
on politically, that? Politically, it seems like I think it's a little bit of everything. I'm excited about it, honestly, but politically, it just seems like there's no room for secrets anymore. It seems like, I'm sure there are things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the past is coming to light. And I think that now that we've got the truth about 9/11 out of the way, we've gotten the truth about all these things in the last 10 years or so out of the way. Now things are coming to light immediately about like the Sandy Hook shooting, the Aurora, Colorado shooting. There are a lot of conspiracies flying around. Whether or not there's any validity to any of them, I don't know. But it just seems like people are not willing to buy the truth, the subscribed story.
And like I think that the subscribed story is always so ridiculous. Like they're so blatantly obvious with their, kind of misdoings and stuff like that. Like they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, and that too. They're being very arrogant about this mess. It's just, I don't know. That's another type of conundrum. I don't know if it's just that the stories sound completely ridiculous these days, or if we're just so awake they just seem ridiculous now. And people that are still asleep, if you want to call it, they may see it as completely normal.
I think they do, because
like these.
Yeah, I've been on forums and articles and things like that where people just are like, how dare you question this man who saved these 6 children on his front lawn that just appeared there out of nowhere and didn't go to the firehouse with all the rest of the kids. Like, just, things that most people...
How dare you not question it?
Exactly, and... Excuse me. When I was on Adam's show last night, I brought up Ben Swan because he actually questioned this, like journalists should do, live. Not live, in a video. And he's getting destroyed for it. Like, the MSM is really trying to, smear him and take him down. And I said, kind of to myself and kind of to him, this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. So, it's, I don't know. I don't know whether to laugh at it or just shake my head, or I'm not sure. But we have a caller I'm just going to bring in. 515, you are live. Is this Quentin?
Hello?
Hey.
Hello.
Yay, Quentin's here.
Oh, hello.
Quentin,
how's it going, girl?
Give us a really quick background on you, since there might be some people that aren't aware of who you are or aware that you were here earlier in the show or previously on the show. So just give us a quick background of what you do and who you are.
Oh, I'm a martial artist and life coach, hierophant of a not so secret temple, pencil artist and ink artist and family man. That's pretty much the basics of it.
Wait.
Nothing really that outstanding.
I think it's very outstanding.
All right.
You know, I try to keep it simple. If I say too much, then it sounds like I'm bragging at that point.
Oh my gosh. You have to learn to not be so humble.
Well. Oh, well, it's a balance.
Yeah. Some people have issues with that.
Yes, it's a lot of work to do to balance ourselves, you know. But if you have the right tools, I mean, there's not anything you can't really do.
We were just talking about, you know, kind of the truth of, not the truth of, but how recently it seems like the truth is coming out more quickly, and those that are trying to lie to us, we kind of just see through right away, and why that might be happening, and does it happen for everyone?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. There's several points of views. You know, in fact, there's infinite views you can look at it from. But there are some pretty interesting points going on. You know, the Mayan calendar, for instance, when it ended, everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world, which obviously was not the case. You know, but there was something very significant about that particular hype and prophecy. That particular, you know, part of it was nonsense, and there's a little bit of truth to it, because they believed that there was an aeon coming. I mean, all religions kind of point to this utopia on earth, this new Jerusalem, for instance, this whole better way of life, and everybody's like, well, where's it at? Where's it at, you know? But whenever the Mayan calendar ended, that was very symbolic. I mean, everybody around the world was into symbolism, and people who are into symbolism are usually very deep thinkers and very bright minds, and usually more oppressed and aren't given a chance to speak, you know. But when the Mayan calendar ended, it was really symbolic of the last of the old world prophecies coming to an end. You know, people waiting for Christ to return, and you know, the Mayan Quetzalcoatl, you know, to return. I mean, just, you know, there's a different Christ or Savior in every religion, you know. So all those things people have been waiting, because that's what they've been told. Mm-hmm. And then this last prophecy just simply not happening, and all the hype, you know, I mean, you know, Christ not returning, you know, I mean, if he did return 2 days after his death, for instance, then that prophecy would have actually been fulfilled 2 days after his death. He would have died, came and returned, and then, so a lot of Christians, for instance, would be waiting for what? You see, so, but anyway, that Mayan prophecy not coming true, which is more like, I believe the true prophecy is that nature would open itself up and reveal it to us. There's even a Hopi legend that I heard from a friend of mine about the animals waking up and telling us what we were doing wrong, just little things like that. So there's this huge consciousness shift, because all these things, all these prophecies, you know, they didn't happen. Are we still connected?
Yep.
Okay, I heard a big click. Well, none of these prophecies came true, and it's not just that. I mean, with the information age and computers and the internet and Facebook and all of it and people talking, you know, information is being shared and downloaded so that people are starting to finally look for things on their own, you know. I mean, in martial arts, I learned that the truth in combat was different for each individual, you know. I mean, Bruce Lee taught us that. Not personally, I didn't learn it from him personally, but from his teachings. That would be something. But he would always, he had several rules, just a few rules actually, that he liked to follow. And one of them was research your own experience, you know, absorb what is useful, reject what is not. and add your own uniqueness to it, you know. And these were principles that were life principles, you know. And now that this is the age of enlightenment, all these teachings are so easily accessed. People can go on the internet quickly, and they can hear everything from the Dalai Lama to anything you want is there, you know. And so people are starting to look and read between the lines, because these prophecies didn't come true. None of them came true.
Right.
All the religions are like, oh, it's not that they're wrong. It's maybe perhaps they're trying to say something else. And I really believe deep down inside they're talking about human potential, you know. And now we're reading this age, you know, the ancients, because of their, you know, the Magi, who you know, the Bible's completely based on the zodiac and the seasons and the elements. All religions revolve around this, you know, and it's really fascinating. The symbolism is all the same. It really is all the same. And people try to manipulate it and change it around. It's just not true. So everybody's they're questioning everything. They're reading between the lines now. They're actually looking up the real meaning of, like, words, you know. Hello.
Yeah.
You know, pick up a dictionary, pick up an encyclopedia, get on the net or on your laptop and go look, go research your own experience. And so that's what we're starting to see now. And, like, for instance, before the Christian fall of the angels, and 2/3 of the angels left heaven and became demons. Well, if you spelled the word D-A-E-M-O-N, or daemon, that would represent an angelic being before the fall. You see what I mean? The pentagram turned upside down. Well, it has 5 points. Well, just so happens that Jesus Christ's name, Yeshua, is the Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, with the letter Shin in the center. So you get Yud, Hey, Shin, Vav, Hey, which is how we get Yeshua from Jehovah or Jehovah. You see what I mean? And it's a 5-lettered word. It's actually referred to as the Pentagrammaton, you know, or four-lettered word, 4-4 word. And those letters will represent fire, water, air, and earth, just by chance. And we see that in the Chinese philosophical system. We see it in the philosophy of everybody from Japan to the Hopi Indians, to China, to the Eskimo, you know, everybody's using the same system. Why? Because we're in the same universe. People are now starting to wake up that, wait a minute, I'm the universe. That can't be right. It's like, well, actually, that is right. The whole idea of accepting Jesus in your heart, well, here's the secret to that. He said, I am within you. It's a shame that I had to be born 2,000 years later after his death just to turn it around and say, okay, well, which one of us is this I? Where does this I hide itself? And then that I says, I am the universe. I am everywhere the center. The universe is everywhere the center. And you can't say that you're independent of the universe unless you think that you can step outside the universe and observe it. That would impress me.
I want someone to call in and try and argue that one.
Yeah, you know.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so, well, you can. I now have quantum physics, every religion, everything backs this up, which is the truth, that we are God. We are the universe. We are the consciousness of the universe. The universe become conscious of itself through man, through the eyes of anything alive.
I'm going to stop you right there, because that's a huge, huge statement you just said, and you know how big that is, and you know how much that steps on people's toes. You know, I did that once at the only little lecture that I've given here in town. I said that to the instructor, and he was from one of the local churches. You know, and I've told you about this, but the listeners may not know. And so he teaches the MMA gym here in town, and he is from a local church. He's a deacon or a youth pastor or something like that. The youth pastor was actually in the audience. And I said at the end of the lecture, I was like, to me, I am God. And you should have seen the look on her face.
He thought that you were like
very,
very, very stuck up and very, very.
You know, another
evil.
But that's not it. When you understand, see, people hear you say that, I am my own God, I am my own authority. To them, it sounds like you're being just completely arrogant. And to us, it's no. This is an understanding and a realization that we've come to,
and
we found it our
yeah.
own way, independently. Yeah. Like, I didn't learn this from Quentin. I didn't learn this from anybody. It came from within me. And, you know, and Quentin got that, he got there the same way, you know, that I did, on his own. Nobody taught him that mess. You know, we know these things within ourselves. And if it sounds arrogant to someone else, well, then it must be that we're pushing somebody's buttons and somebody's fear of themselves. What it is.
Yeah, it would only be arrogant if I said that I was the only one who was the universe, which would be redundant. I mean, that makes no sense. No, the point is beyond argument. There's not any person or creature or being or deity that can deny the fact that there is not anything that is not the universe. If you imagine in your mind seeing the Earth getting smaller and smaller, and then you see the Milky Way galaxy, and it's getting smaller, and now you see over 500 billion suns and galaxies getting smaller and smaller, I gotta ask you, what part of the universe is not the universe?
That's really not a question that anyone can answer, I don't think.
As above, so below. Everything that exists above exists below. We all exist as one. Everything is one. We're all just reflections of each other. I am my own God. Quentin is his own God. He's a reflection of me. Tracy, you're your own God.
And here's some more.
Whether you've realized that or not, you know, we're all the same thing.
Here's a much more sort of Taoist approach to it, or Buddhist approach. It would be that I am the part of the universe that expresses itself as Quentin. You are the part of the universe that expresses itself as Diane. But it is one thing, you know, and because it is infinite, that means that it has infinite expression, infinite being, you know. And you'll notice that with what you go through in your day, with whatever you want to feel, there's an infinite amount of it. If you want to be pissed off, guess what? There is an infinite ocean of anger waiting for you because the universe is infinite. If you want to find something to love, there is an infinite ocean of love waiting for you. Whatever you focus on, whatever you look for, the universe is like a giant genie and says, your wish is my command. But as soon as you make a judgment, you shut off all that energy. When you ask questions, it opens up the flow like a river. I mean, it just opens up. Keep asking questions, stay in the question. But as soon as you make a judgment, you know, the universe says, oh, that's it? You're done? You're just going to quit there, huh? Mm-hmm. But the universe is infinite, you know. The universe itself is God, for lack of better words, you know. And I'm not going to go deeper into that because it was a secret we here at the temple like to keep to ourselves.
Oh, you can't say that. That's not right.
Well, one of the things that I have arguments with is I don't believe in like these secrets, because I believe if it's truth, you should just spit it out. But the issue, you know, that a lot of temples try to keep secret, scientists are really only now taking into serious consideration, which is what we could call the mathematical and philosophical zero, you know, and where you could say that the universe came from nothing, you know. Buddhists and Taoist priests alike and followers understand the universe as Maya, or illusion, you know, because it came from nothing. And the reason we do that is because we postulate, as a good scientist should, with the idea of zero. We don't start counting by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it's like we have everything, but we have to have this idea of the absence of anything to begin with. It's a difficult concept. But because the universe can't come from nothing, that is why it was the first idea behind a deity, a god. It must be a miracle to exist at all, because you can't have anything from nothing. And scientists and philosophers still are at odds with it, because when they look at the sky, they notice there is more space than there is matter. You know, and it is infinite ocean beyond comprehension that no one can logically or mathematically
explain,
comprehend.
Right.
It's just incomprehensible Godhead. I mean, it's the infinite nature. And here's the most powerful word I think that's ever been written, at least in the top 3 or 4, is the word itself. That is such a powerful word, because when you ask what the universe is in itself, it is a thing that is self-created, that has found a way to manifest itself, to be conscious of itself. And we are this universe. We are this consciousness. We are, that when they say accept God in your heart, well, this is it. This is the real truth behind that. So God really, the word itself, God, is very generic form of what I'm trying to describe here. So, it's not that I'm putting it down at all. No. That would be a misnomer. That would be awful perception. Someone's looking through the wrong lens. Again, you get what you look for. If while I'm talking you look for enlightenment, sweethearts, you will find it. If you look to be pissed off and offended, I guarantee you'll find that, because that's what you're looking for. You get what you're looking for. Think red Toyota truck. Tomorrow you'll see 3 or 4 of them. You'll be like, okay, man, what's this about? It's because you manifest what you believe you're worthy of manifesting, of experiencing. And that's all we do is create experience.
I've actually got a caller on the line, 828. Sorry to keep you holding. Welcome. Are you there?
Is that me?
That's you. Is your phone number 828? And then the rest of it?
Oh, it is.
There you go.
Hi, it's Derek.
Hey, Derek. How are you?
Hi, Derek. How's it going?
Well,
Hi,
how
Derek.
are y'all?
Awesome.
I figured this was a perfect time for me to jump into the conversation because y'all are talking exactly about the things that really get my gears turning. And when Quentin started talking about matter and the manifestation of consciousness and all that, it reminded me of the theory of relativity. It tells us that matter and energy are interchangeable. And
yes,
given
nice.
enough of one, you can convert it into the other. So since we as humans are physical entities, that makes us matter, and that matter contains energy within our bodies. And when we die, our energy disperses into our atmosphere or into the galaxy or the
yes,
universe,
very
whatever
nice.
you
Yes,
call
that's it. That's
and then
it.
perhaps that energy recollects and then to a point to where it becomes matter once again. And
nice,
it's a perpetual system that just goes on forever.
But yeah, because the universe recycles itself. Very
Exactly.
Nice, Derek.
Exactly. And furthermore,
very nice.
I think that the whole awakening is really a part of synchronicity that we're experiencing right now. I think that we are all particles of the same whole
that
existed, say long ago at some certain point. And now
We're
here
entangled.
we are. Exactly. And we are all really just vehicles for consciousness manifestation. That's what our bodies are here for, so that we can experience the third dimension.
That is it. That is it. We are the universe conscious of itself, and that is a deep understanding that is lacking in the churches and in the teachings to our children. It is the sacred thing that's been handed down, that's been lost. It's the secret teaching, and I've come to see that everyone has it.
And see, I personally have come to the realization that the missing link that we hear about in science isn't the Sasquatch roaming the woods. What it is the link between science and spirituality, not religion. Religion cannot teach any person on the planet about spirituality. The individual must seek out that path in solitude and find themselves, because change comes from within, and only to discover what is within, you have to go within yourself.
That's it.
And when you realize that you are a spiritual being manifested in physical form, you realize that you are well. My point is that the link between science and spirituality is that science and religion have perpetually been at odds, and I think that this has been by design, and that they have a pact to keep us divided, because divided we fall, united we stand, divided we fall.
That's it, Derek.
And that's a divide and conquer tactic, and it's worked since the dawn of mankind.
I just want to give you guys some background on Derek here and how I met Derek. I met Derek a few days ago. I was reading a Facebook post of one of my friends, and he just struck me as someone I should get to know better. So I friend requested him, and we didn't know each other from a hole in the wall, but turns out we have a whole lot in common, don't we?
Indeed we do. Anarchism being one of them.
Yep.
I wanted to add to something that Derek said. He was talking about the way that you have to, and he's right, the way that you have to seek out spirituality within yourself, and that's how you come about change. The interesting thing, it correlates with science, especially in quantum physics, and what's known as, I'm sure Derek has heard about this, what's known as the observer experiment, or the double split experiment. And what they found back in the 90s, because this is like, I think they discovered it in 94 or 96, something like that, is that when you introduce an element of observation to certain experiments, they will
phenomena,
actually probably, all of them, the act of observing changes what that you're observing, and the intention is the thing that determines which way the observation will go, whether it be to the negative or the positive.
And that's awesome, Diana, because Christy Marie Sheldon, who is a life coach, and she practices the law of attraction just like me, somebody I greatly admire. She has a free report on Facebook that you can go and check out, and she has some fascinating proof on there, scientific experiments where one particular doctor had taken a glass into a sub-zero room and wrote the word hate on a piece of paper and put it on top and meditate. Yeah, and he did the same thing with another glass, but put love on it. And he thought all the hateful things at the one and all the love feelings at the other. And he did that for about, I think, 15 minutes or so. But the crystals that formed on the glass every single time were misshapen and darkened on the hate glass and perfect like diamonds and crystals on the good glass. He enjoyed the experiment so much he had college kids and other little kids come, younger generation teenagers come in and try the experiment, and everyone was amazed at the exact same results. When we put attention onto something, it's a big deal because we affect it.
Well, think about this then. If you observe yourself and knowing the law, knowing the effect of the observer and how it interacts and changes things. When you observe yourself, you go into yourself and you start to ask questions. You are seeking change. You're seeking positive change. Imagine how much effect that's having on people. They don't realize it, but that's exactly what's going on. You're observing yourself, therefore it's going to change. And your intention behind, the reason for the observation is going to determine how that change, if you want to change your day and you wanted to make it brighter, and you're like, wow, I want a brighter day. You're literally manifesting what it is you want to see. I mean, it's just so much that the element of the observer, the blah blah blah. Can I speak today? Yeah, the element of the observer it just compounds everything that we just talked about. It really does. It just adds even more validity to it.
Yes,
and it's
it does.
scientific. It's proven.
That's awesome. Yes, it is.
And to go back to what you were talking about we each being our own gods, that validates what you're saying right now, Diana. We have to find the God within ourselves, and all these things that keep us divided and keep us distracted from ourselves, which is really the most important thing on planet Earth. And when we meet others that are like us, they are a reflection of the perception of ourselves.
That's awesome. I always tell everybody that one of my teachings is that the universe is my magic mirror. It reflects what's going on inside me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so and the more you get into this, you're going to notice, Derek, that you literally are going to start attracting what it is you want. Whatever it is that you focus on, most of the time, that's what's going to continue to come into your life. Or if you change your thought, and you have a desire, that's actually a blessing in disguise. A lot of people pray backwards. They don't, they put their hands together and they start opening their mouth and all kinds of stuff comes out, but that's not what it is. What's going on in your mind that you're manifesting, that's what you're doing. You're constantly sending signals to the universe or to the God, and it's constantly saying, your wish is my command, your wish is my command. So whether positive or negative, whatever's going on between your ears there, it's going to clothe itself in the most convenient form possible to your belief system, and it will manifest right in front of you. It's really, it's almost insane, but when you understand it, all of a sudden everything makes absolutely perfect sense.
And that's because we each, as individuals, create our own reality.
Yeah, exactly.
And when people speak of truth, the same applies to truth. Truth is absolutely individually subjective. And furthermore, truth is based on one's mere belief in something. But the belief in something doesn't necessarily make something true. You see what I'm saying? So
that's right.
So
usually
technically, truth doesn't exist because it is based on belief, and belief doesn't make it true.
Yet at the same time, if we, and that's the universe, tick for tack, yang and yin. For every thesis, there's an antithesis, and then of course synthesis. But I totally agree with what you're saying.
I got a little bit lost here. Can you explain that again one more time?
About the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. About being purely subjective, yeah.
Okay. Truth is individually subjective. Everything is individually subjective because we create our own realities, okay? Mm-hmm. What is truth? Truth is merely something that someone believes. But the belief in something doesn't validate it. The Christian concept of God is a perfect example, okay? There is nothing to prove that exists. It exists only in the mind. So the fact that truth is based on belief, but yet belief doesn't make something true, truth technically doesn't exist.
And that's interesting because if something works for you, it could be said to be true.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks works for you. What works for you works for you. That's all.
That's it, Derek. Finding your own truth. I'm with you. I'm on the same page with that.
What I always say is that truth is it's not constant. And it's not, because your truth, what you think of, what you believe to be true today, may not end up being true for you tomorrow. And so it's not, and even 2 seconds from now, I could say that the sky is blue, and then 2 seconds from now decide, no, actually it looks more like a green to me. So I think I'll just believe that it's green. It really is purely based on the individual and how you perceive the world around you, what you see, how you see it, and what you choose to believe. And I talked about this last week, Tracy. Remember I said something about, Santa Claus, did the man ever exist? He exists in the eyes of a child or the mind of a child because that's what they believe. And then the split second they decide that, I don't think I'm going to believe that anymore, the man stopped existing. Now, how does the whole physical man go from being existent to non-existent in a split second?
Yeah, well, those are myths and legends.
The idea of belief. It's just because you turned off the belief. The power of belief is amazing.
Well, this goes back to the whole Sandy Hook issue, and that's exactly why they upped the ante with using small children so that it would be personal and an untouchable, unquestionable subject, and that anyone who would question it would be absolutely demonized by virtually anyone, even people that commonly question the antics of the government and false flags operations and whatnot. They are even demonized by others. It's really insane. It really is insane. And going back to that particular incident, I think that they are so arrogant that they were intentionally sloppy because they just don't even care anymore. Yeah.
They are so reliant on the blindness of society. Yep.
Yeah.
Or I don't like that word because it just sounds that just to me it sounds completely retarded. I'd prefer to call them drones if anything, or zombies for that matter. But they are so reliant on the fact that people are blinded by their own ignorance that and it's ignorance is programmed. So they're reliant on it. They believe so heavily that people are just we're just going to spoon feed them, spoon feed them this information. They're just going to blindly believe it. So we can pretty much say anything and they'll fucking believe it, at this point. And so they just don't care about the specifics anymore. Back during JFK, they cared about the specifics because people back then they weren't so quick to believe everything that was just handed to them. So they were a little more specific about how they done things, and they started getting sloppy with 9/11, and ever since then, well, it's just easy to see through the bullshit now. You got to dig a little deeper when you go back into the 50s and 60s and the crap that they were doing back then, even further back, because they had to, they were scared of, if they fucked up, somebody might figure it out. Now they're so heavy, now they're just, exactly, they're arrogant because of that fact, because they rely on the stupidity, or the ignorance, rather, of society, and they've programmed it that way. They made it that way.
So then what changes it for these people? Like, what finally, does everybody come to it on their own? Like, what exactly is it that wakes one person up versus another, and how is that blatant sort of disregard for what matters as far as facts go in a case or anything that happened with Sandy Hook in general? Like, when does that start becoming a problem? When do people start saying, hold on a second? It's just, I was expecting more people to do it by now. That's all.
Usually when they have an agenda, that's when the crap starts, when they have an agenda.
Yeah, no doubt.
Disarming us, that is a really it is such a foolish move.
Well, check this out, though. I did research on all the school shootings that have ever been documented in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
There have been 158 since 1863. Furthermore, there have been 5 in 2012. But how many have we heard of?
1.
How many have y'all heard of? 1.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why haven't we heard about these other 4? Furthermore, there hasn't been one since 2007, which was the Virginia Tech massacre. Mm-hmm. So we went 5 years without having any. Then all of a sudden in 2012 we've had 5, but yet the only one we've heard about supposedly involved little children.
Yeah.
And again, that's because it's an untouchable, unquestionable subject. The media didn't cover any of the other 4. I was dumbfounded when I found out that there had been 4 previously and that we hadn't even heard about them. And
last year we heard about the theater, the Batman shooting,
right,
and then Sandy Hook,
right, and that's it.
And so there's 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, but I'm talking about school shootings. Yeah.
Oh, school.
Right.
Alone. Okay.
Right. I mean, there are countless shootings that actually do happen, but those are the ones we never hear about. They always focus on the particular weapons involved because the weapons involved are the ones that they're trying to disarm us so that they can have and use against us. It's so that we're absolutely outgunned. Say again?
So what were the weapons that were used in the other 4? Why didn't we hear about the other 4?
I didn't research the particular weapons that were used. I just read that.
Well, I know they made a mistake about the automatic rifle because the coroner came out and said that was the one weapon used.
He said that they were all by .223 rifle rounds, but yet
but the gun was in the trunk.
Was supposedly in the trunk, but yet the one that they pulled out of the trunk was a Saiga 5.52. So which is a shotgun.
And they pulled it out of the trunk.
Little first flip.
Yeah, and they pulled it out of the trunk without wearing any gloves and.
Oh yeah. Well, what's really funny is the vehicle was in a completely different position when they opened the trunk at night than it was in that morning. That morning it was parked right in front of the school, right in front of the front door. But that night it was parked pointing toward the school and in a parking space. Mm-hmm. So that shows that the vehicle had been moved.
Yeah, there's a lot of fishy going on with
3 days after the shooting, I spent 20 hours doing my own research on the entire story. And I posted about it on my blog, and the research is absolutely extensive. And there's more evidence proving that even not a single shot was fired than there is proving that there was a shooting. The amount of bullets that he supposedly used would have riddled the ground with shell casings, but yet we have no evidence of any shell casings. He would have shot windows out. There are no windows busted out. He supposedly shot through the door. They even said, one witness said that they had a camera above the front door to see anybody that came up to it, and that they were buzzed in once they were verified that they weren't a threat or anything like that. But yeah, there's no video footage. The whole story is just absolutely absurd, asinine. None of it. Nobody's seen a body. Friday they said that we're going to leave the bodies in there for the entire weekend and move them Sunday. Then Saturday morning they said, oh, we took all the bodies out last night.
In the dead of night.
So that nobody could see them.
Well, first of all, there's procedures for that. There are procedures that are followed in every other fucking city in this country. And you're going to tell me all of a sudden one particular city doesn't follow procedure when it comes to removing bodies and how you can handle things and all that shit. Yet, the president just yesterday is telling us, well, there's procedure. We're inundated with SOPs, standard operating procedure. Yet one time, oh wow, yeah, blowing smoke up my ass. Please go sell that shit to somebody else.
Quentin was about to say something, I believe, about how stupid it is for them to go after the guns right now. And I think the same thing. I think they're, if anything, what they're doing right now is waking more people up more quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for our cause. I think it's a good thing for humanity in general, because there are, Joe Schmo, no offense to anyone out there, hillbillies, sitting down on their freaking couches, seeing the news and say, he's going to take my guns away? Hold on a second. Let me get on the internet and take a look at what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's it. Then
that's
they go
the
down
backlash that they...
Yeah, they go down the rabbit hole and they don't come back. They don't come back from it. It's the pill. They take the pill and they're in. That's it. So there's all these people doing this now.
And that's the backlash with this situation that they didn't anticipate. See, right now, even common people that don't even question the media have started questioning this particular incident because of all the holes. But furthermore, so many people were so severely emotional when that happened because it was small children. People were crying for children that didn't even die. It's insane.
I haven't been able to get on the page with you with the no children died thing yet. And the no shooting thing.
But have you, this is what I always ask people.
The day after she was supposedly killed.
Well,
have you seen a body? Have any of you seen a body?
No.
A single body?
Nope.
No.
A body bag, even?
Nothing.
A funeral,
Nothing.
possibly?
Okay. There's absolutely no evidence that a person was shot. Where's Adam Lanza's body?
He was actually cremated in a very small...
Of course he was.
Yeah.
Of course he was. Just like Osama was dumped in the fucking in the ocean, right? It's the same thing. You have to create a situation to where there's no way you can you can debate it.
No evidence.
How did they get the whole town to go along with it?
This is how all conspiracies are created. A few people get together, they get their story straight, they go and they tell the story to other people, rumors spread. We all know how how rumors operated when we were in school. You tell one person something, by the time it gets to the 20th person, the story is completely out of touch with what the original person said. And then how many people just blindly follow and believe what they hear?
So then his mother isn't dead either then?
Say again?
So his mother's not dead either?
I don't believe that anyone died, absolutely. I don't believe that. His father is the senior tax executive for General Electric. He owed his mother... Peter Lanza is the name of Adam Lanza's father. Peter Lanza owed Adam's mother $250,000 a month alimony. That's a lot of money. That man has enough money to make those two people disappear anywhere on the planet. As far as I'm concerned, they're in some exotic island somewhere laughing their asses off at our idiotic asses, sitting here believing this shit, crying over people that there's no evidence even died. You know, and furthermore, this is the real tragedy of the situation. People are crying over kids that there's no evidence that they even died, but yet Obama orders drone strikes on hundreds of kids a day in other countries, and no one gives a fuck about it. No one in the Western world gives a single fuck about kids in other countries dying every single day. And that's real. That really happens.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
That's the problem with the world today. We're focused on shit that doesn't even matter. And again, it keeps us divided.
That's it.
It really is psychological operations. They have the shit down, man. They've been doing it for a long time. We're new to learning their shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Quentin, how do you tackle something like that? Like, how do we, because I'm an eternal optimist. That's just the way I am. I don't like to see the negative in any situation. So, go ahead.
Well, to keep yourself safe, and keep, when you keep your family safe, there are certain things that you have to understand, that you just simply have to know. And there are two things that you really, if I could only tell you one thing concerning government, these are those two things. One is, we have a primal right to exist. We have a primal right to defend ourselves. Every creature on the planet has those rights. If that weren't so, we wouldn't be born with claws and teeth.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a biological fact. That's
because
the way it works.
self-preservation is literally the highest law on Earth.
Yes, it is.
In all species.
Yeah, yes, it is. Self-preservation is the highest law. Love is the eternal law, and do what you will is the whole of that law, as you did. And those are the three great laws. But the two prime laws that you have to understand is that we have a right to defend ourselves, and we have a right to exist. Now, what is the prime law of government? The prime law of government is to protect us. If they do anything outside of that, they've just turned into a snake oil salesman. You're being fooled. They're lying right to your face. If they're talking about health care or some other garbage or whatever it is they're talking about, it's a lie. They have one function only. Yeah, that's right. They have, over half the budget is wasted on crap that has nothing to do with protecting us. And right there is where people have to learn to draw the line. The government's job is to protect us. That is it. They do not have power over us.
Well,
now, except
you're doing all these things in the name of protecting us. Oh well, we're gonna enact these health care laws because that protects the interests of the common people. They do this under the guise of we're protecting you. That's why Homeland Security is an entity of its own. That's why we have our military complex.
Which the truth is, if I get sick, I'll call the doctor. I don't call the government or the president or the Senate or the House of Representatives or any of those other bozos and clowns. And that's what they are, while they're doing their little puppet show. And because that's what they are. And this is where we get into some real deep, dark water here when we start talking about secret brotherhoods and that sort of thing. Because when you start to, when you look at these little incidents going, that have happened with the school shootings, 9/11, keep going back, even to Pearl Harbor, they allowed that to happen to gain support for the war effort. Those documents came out in the History Channel, that guy who kept the documents, who kept the orders, the guy who marks them out with the black marker. Well, you make copies of those, put them in a metal box, saved them. Guess what? The government's they're a crooked gang, they really are. Even Jesse Ventura wrote a book, what was it, here recently?
The Republic Bloods and the Democrats.
Yeah, Democrats and that's it.
And I've been saying that for years. See,
now, when we start looking at the pieces of the puzzle and we start to lay them out, there's going to be a point to where when you think about the attacks, you think about the taking the guns away. Why would you take anyone's gun away that is not a criminal?
You didn't want them defending themselves.
To make them a slave.
Yeah.
To bring back slavery. Right now, and there's no way of getting around this, and this is the way I label it, but right now we are all influenced by passive-aggressive slavery. Just like when a person passively aggressive gets angry with you. They might not get in your face, but they'll do something behind your back to make you lose your job or get you in trouble. You see what I'm saying? Well, they're using that same sort of technique where they sneak right through the cracks and use their bullshit propaganda and so forth, just like we've been talking about with the school shootings. You know, that really, there's so much hoax attached to that. I totally agree with you, Derek. There's so much bullshit that you can't even see through those lenses at all.
Yeah.
You know, but you have, as long as you remember the prime laws, you know, you'll be able to keep safe. But what these things are all beginning to add up to is disarming the American people, making us vulnerable. There's also some other things. I mean, they have incinerators set up with turnstiles to burn us like the Jews. There's a lot of these things that are being kept secret.
Huge ones.
Yeah, big ones, exactly. And they're one-way turnstiles. They have signs on the back of on some of the, or stickers on the back of some of the road signs. Actually, more the highway signs, and they lead to different places. You know, where, like, for instance, a red one would lead to first aid, a blue one or a green one would lead to ammunition. You know, I mean, because foreign troops drive on the other side of the road, that's why they're on the backs of the signs, you see, because Americans are going to have trouble shooting Americans, so they've put all our troops over there. Let's bring the Russians, who are right now training in, I believe it's South Carolina or North Carolina.
They are.
You know,
North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're going to try, you know, and do that. Well, we're going to manifest a different reality, because here's the thing. There's a really old story, and it's always rung true. And I believe it's an African story, and it's about grasshoppers and the ants.
Oh, I love that story.
And well, eventually, the grasshoppers realized, holy crap, we've been sitting up here fat kings and everything, we just got outnumbered. And they realized that the population of the United States dwarfs our current military.
Absolutely. And not only the current military, but the police force, the government, everything. There are 303 million people here.
And because of the prime law, all right, we even have sheriffs all across the United States now who are saying, I will not enforce those laws in my state or my county. I'm going to have nothing to do with it, and if you come here and try to take our guns, I will protect my family. I mean,
so far.
Yeah.
So far, there's one in Kentucky. The governor of Oregon, was it Oregon, that I read about earlier today, said, no, we're not, you know, pretty much fuck you, Obama. We're not going to enforce this shit. You can go fuck yourself. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. Mm-hmm. These sheriffs and representatives and people in hot places that say, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, because we don't play that shit. That's one thing that we're dead serious about. We believe in defending ourselves above all things and against anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. If you try to be aggressive to someone else, you're going to have your ass handed to you here. We don't play shit. We don't fuck around.
Yeah, and all the, you know, I mean, everything that's going on is on purpose. Have you ever heard of the term called a fixed fight? That's what we're in right now. Yeah. We are in a very fixed fight, and we got the wrong people in power. Yeah. We need a leader who is ready to depolitize America, because we really need less than a third of the politicians that we have in reality. More, you know, half of the budget that's being wasted on the dumbest things could go right back into society. I mean, let's be realistic. The money that was spent on this whole Iraqi thing, okay, is enough money to feed, clothe, and provide health care for every single living human on the planet. So if somebody wants to run their mouth, well, they better close it quick, because you're messing with the professor here. I understand the numbers, and I understand the reality of it. If we were to teach the Dalai Lama even said this, if we taught our 8-year-olds how to meditate in one generation, there would be no violence. Mm-hmm. It's true. We manifest our reality, and this teaching is a very old secret. It goes back over, 2,000 years. You know, Christ was one of the first people to try to teach everybody, I am the I am. We are the I am. Yep. We can, you know what I'm saying? Ask and it shall be given to you. Knock and it shall be open. He was trying to say you can manifest your reality. You can make your life awesome. You can be peaceful. You can have that money. You can have that relationship. You can have anything you want if you just focus on it.
So, Quentin, expand a little more on what you were saying before I interrupted you about how about how we're manifesting something completely different than what the establishment wants. You were going into, people of power.
The law of attraction is a mighty thing. A few years back, I had was studying some universal laws and axioms and quantum physics, and was really trying to understand the universe. I'm just a student of the universe. I mean, I have students that call me master, but if the only way I accept that title is maybe master student. I'm very good at learning. But I began doing experiments just for fun, as a and they started bringing me things, little physical things, things I would look for years, and I'd be like, that can't be right. It just literally show up. I caught myself when I started to catch on what was going on. I was kind of going through a rough time, and I had a lot of bills, and so I was thinking about the bills, and the more and more I thought about the bills, the more and more that they showed up. So then I caught myself, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to manifest receiving checks in the mail or something like that, like that guy from The Secret or something, So I started practicing, and believe it or not, in about 2-3 weeks, the mail really slowed down. At one point, I got no mail for a week. That's never happened before. So I wanted to take it further. I'm like, okay, so what you think about, you bring about. Everything you receive comes from you. So I'm going to go with that, So I started doing more. I even took a $1 bill and took a black magic marker, I'm going to get in trouble for this, and made it into $1 million bill, And so I would wake up every morning and imagine what it'd be like, to make $1 million in 1 year, And here last year, I woke up one morning and I didn't think much about it, and I went and jumped in the shower. I was in the shower, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, man, about this book, And so, that's still in the works, But when I saw the possible payout for this particular avenue I was going to pursue, I was completely blown away. I was like, you got to be kidding. It can't be, okay, this is starting to get nuts, because the scientists who told me said it doesn't matter what it is. If you focus on it and you don't allow the thought to dissipate, believe it or not, it'll come true, So just to goof around, I was teaching it to one of my students, the law of attraction, that sort of thing. It's like, you got to try this. This actually works. And so for fun, I said, how about an ice cream truck? I haven't seen one of those since I was probably 11, and I didn't see an ice cream truck for like 3 weeks. But then one day, I heard this tune, and I ran to my window, and I was like, you got to be kidding. And so now it's gotten to where the manifestations, instead of taking weeks, are now happening sometimes instantly, sometimes in a few hours. I just stay in this attitude of gratitude, constantly focusing on what I want, and it really starts to manifest. And then here over the last few months, I've gotten a lot of messages on, Quentin, if you could, some of this is too hard for me. It's really complex. There's a lot of symbolism. You're too college for me, which is nothing could be further from the truth. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, I will hone the teaching down, and I honed it down into this, which is manifest how you want to feel first. If you can do that, you will have found the key to the rest. It'll just show up, I mean, you really got to manifest, and it's got to be logical. It's got to be believable to you. But when you start to try and manifest that feeling, I mean, if you're a person who gets up and you've been angry at your job, you've been angry at everything, try getting up and start showing an attitude of gratitude. Develop feelings for abundance. Start imagining what it would feel like to be in that amazing relationship, Do that for 30 days or maybe 3 months and see what happens. Start imagining what it's like to have that feeling of having more money or a better job. Believe it or not, it happens.
Okay, so how is this going to play into? Yeah, how is this going to play into like what we were talking about earlier in the government?
Well,
how they've
with
got
the government is if you believe, if you believe that they can overrun you, that they can take your rights, your primal right to exist and defend yourself away, then guess what? You're going to manifest what you believe. And a lot of people are unconsciously, because there's kind of a collective consciousness going on here, And the media and the government tries to control that the best they can, to whatever agenda or means or goals that they're trying to pursue, which in this particular case all sums up to one awful thing, which is culling of the herd. But the whole idea...
We're going to counteract that, which is what you were talking about a minute ago. That's what I wanted to hear about.
Exactly, and that's where we're going, is manifesting this whole new reality. If you were to come to my house and say, hey, Quentin, I'm going to take your kid, your son, and you're never going to see him again, I don't know if I'd kill you right there, or if I laugh my ass off, because it's not a question of... It's just not a question. It's not even on the list of possibilities. And that's how you have to be about your rights and about your being. And when you understand the prime laws and the government breaks the prime law, which is to protect you, now we're talking treason and a lot of other nasty words here. Mm-hmm. And it's going to go sour for everybody.
Okay, so you think that by... I'm trying to just get an idea of what you're thinking the outcome is going to be here.
You have to create that outcome by imagining the feeling that you want to feel in society. And that's what all these little...
Do you think that's going on right now with people waking up?
Yes,
because
Diana,
like Tracy said a minute ago, like Tracy said earlier, people that are couch potatoes, basically, there are people down here in the South, take for example, and I guess everybody likes to talk about us down here in the South and we love our guns, and so we're adamant about our guns because we hunt. A lot of guys around here, they love it. So, just these guys they don't give two shits on a regular basis. They don't care about what the governor's doing or the president. They don't care. But all of a sudden, you try and take their guns away. Oh, well, now you've woke up an entire class of people who weren't carrying them before, and now they do.
That's because you're breaking
their guns.
Yeah,
and
because their prime laws are being broken. When you get
so now they're sitting around thinking, no, I don't think so. And that alone is going to manifest. So what you're saying is that alone, the more that the government starts to dabble in things and wake people up that weren't normally awake, the more these people are going to start manifesting a greater reality. You know what? Fuck you, Obama. I don't think so. I don't care how many executive orders you pass. The American people are not going to allow this to happen, and it's manifesting more and more, I think. Is that what you're trying to say? That's
actually very much so what I'm trying to say. And you're starting to see that, whenever you start to break a prime law, nature itself won't tolerate it. It just won't tolerate it. You can't, what is the government going to do next? Go up to crocodiles and tigers and say, okay, hand over your claws and teeth? Because that's what's going on here. And Hitler's number one rule was, you want to take over a people or storm a people, take their guns away. Take away, so.
Mao and Stalin did it too, and it worked effectively.
Yeah.
It's worked every time.
Yes, it has. Only on those who allowed it to happen, though.
Exactly, because the government comes from consent. Those who consent are the ones who are governed. And this goes back to the whole thing about change comes from within. Yep. We have to change ourselves before we can change anything outside of ourselves.
And Derek, that's what I'm talking about right there about the manifesting, is what's going on inside your head is important because it's going to manifest around you. And the more you learn you're a manifesting ability. Because, see, everybody's a master manifester already. They just don't know it.
Yeah.
The same path that you take to put yourself in a bad mood or state of depression is the exact same state of building up little teeny bits of steps of evidence to make you feel good. It's the same process. It's just people are brainwashed or conditioned over generations to think negative, to think money is the root of all evil, to think all these lies and bullshit. Money's not the root of all evil. It's just energy to do things with. If it was evil, Mother Teresa wouldn't have did all those good things with all those millions that she raised.
How you use it.
Exactly. That's just awareness. You got to work hard to make good money. That's not true. The richest people work the least. Mm-hmm. Everything that we've been told is half-ass and backwards.
We live in an inverted world.
There it is, and we have to revert that shit. And that is what's going on right now.
I think that we did live in an inverted world.
Well, we did, of course. Right.
I think that it's flipped.
Right.
And I think that it flips individually, and it's crazy how it works like that.
Here's something that I teach my students is, and some of them have started to really catch on to this law of attraction and manifesting, or you could even call it the art of deliberate creation is what, Dr. Hang on. Oh, I can't think of his name. Yes, the art of deliberate creation. I can't believe I can't think of the doctor who's wrote that book, but that's what you're doing, and you're changing what's on the inside, and the way you change it is by not focusing on the bullshit that they're trying to condition you with now. I mean, pay attention to it. Look for, like Derek did a superb example of pointing out all the inconsistencies, that we typically see and have seen for generations. Again, something else he brought up, very cool, very happy about that, by the way.
Well, that's why I think my theory that I've been saying to people, and people think I'm nuts, but I've been saying just live free inside of yourself. The more people do that, the easier and the more free the world will be.
And there's a reason for that, too, Tracy, because when you begin to become very aware, very conscious of your manifesting ability to the point of mastering it, just like a martial artist learns his forms and his katas and all his moves and self-defense moves and stuff, eventually it's no longer you who does it, but it that does it all by itself. Which is funny because it's doing that already. When you become conscious of it, it kind of slows down, and it's kind of like learning to drive a stick shift for the first time, And then, of course, you master it, and you get back on the road of just letting it flow, And so
trusting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the hardest part about the law of attraction, because people will trust it with just about anything, but when it comes to the money, lots of question marks pop up,
I'm going through that right now. This very moment.
But that's it, but you have to start. The one thing that is the big deal is once you begin to master it, you're going to be affecting anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million or so more people in the area around you. If you have the consciousness of a person that can actually see the world floating in front of you, make yourself so big, bigger than the state, then bigger than the continent, then bigger than the planet, and you can move your mind into that type of consciousness. You literally could imagine yourself putting your hands over the world and giving it some love and say, you know what, I know the world's screwed up, but that's because everybody's been led astray. I want to give the world some love back. It has sustained me. I'm ready to sustain it. It's a yin-yang thing here, give and take, ebb and flow, polarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to begin visualizing the world that we want in the now. In the now.
Yep.
And absent, the intolerances. Actually having a leader and a government that all they do is protect us. If someone hurts us, whether
what about no government at all? That wouldn't be horrible.
Say what?
What about no government at all? That wouldn't be horrible. That's what I advocate.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the whole idea of what I said earlier about depolitizing America. There's really no need for most of the Senate and Congress and all that. I mean, we've got those easier ways to do this. As a species, I really do not believe at all that we are not capable of solving any problem that comes our way. I don't believe that.
As individuals and collectively.
And here's the deal. The more and more we catch on, see, we're not accidents, okay? We're universal beings adjusting to the physical plane. We're having a human experience, and we're just learning how to really, after many incarnations, some of us are realizing what's really going on here and the true nature of the universe and what it means to be human. I mean, a lot of people don't even know what that means. They've never asked themselves, what does it mean to be human? I mean, the word humane comes from that. It's just an E difference, And those are the things that's going on. This is how we are going to change the world. We are literally going to think it into reality. And we're just not even, there's things we're going to tolerate and things we won't tolerate.
Something you just said about a minute ago about time and now reminded me of a quote by, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with the West Memphis Three, but Damien Eccles said, the thing I like most about time is that it's not real. It's all in the head. There is no such thing as the past. It exists only in the memory. There is no such thing as the future. It exists only in our imagination. If our watches were truly accurate, the only thing that they would ever say is now.
That's awesome. That's it.
Yeah.
That's totally it. And that's
I tried
why.
telling one of my friends that one day that I reached the point where I realized there's no past. It's not there. It doesn't exist anymore. All we have is the now. And so I tried to tell him that. He's like, okay, so how did you have your kids? It's past. You know, he kept throwing these ideas in front of me, and I'm like, but why do I need to think about it? That's in the past. I can't change it. Why do I have
That's just another now gone by. That's all that is.
Another distraction.
Yeah, the future lives.
It's weight
another
is
now.
what it is. It's another form of a ball and chain.
Yeah. Unless I want it now, and then he also made this point. He's like, okay, so what if you did something good in your life and you want to remember it and reflect on how far you've come? You know, because even as far as I've come so far in my journey of evolution or enlightenment, I still have to validate myself. I still have to tell myself, yeah, you're right. And sometimes I look to people like Tracy and Quentin and say, is this right? Does this sound right to you? You know, I have to validate that because I'm not secure enough within my own knowing. I haven't gotten to the point where I can trust myself ultimately to say, yes, I know I'm right all the time, which sounds like a very arrogant statement, but I think that it's obtainable. So, I still have to go back and look at my past and say, yeah, I've come from there. I'm a survivor. I'm not a victim anymore.
Well, it's good to remember your past.
Hell yeah, you're a fucking boss.
Yeah. It's good to, whenever you learn somebody's past, it's good that you learn a little bit about them, but leave it where you found it.
Yeah, you don't want to linger there, certainly.
No, it really,
I think.
Yeah, it's just like in martial arts. I mean, you learn all these, everything that you learn in martial arts is actually meant to be forgotten, so you can float comfortably, without thought. That was another Bruce Lee's teaching. He's an idol of mine, if you haven't guessed that.
Well, yeah, because he understood like a lot of people understand that once the mind learns something, it's known, and it can do it automatically. We just like to micromanage what we do.
And overcomplicate things.
Yeah, and it does overcomplicate things because you also notice that when you're reading a book, if you become suddenly aware that you are actually reading in the moment, the speed at which you read slows down dramatically because you're not allowing the brain just to do its own thing. You've become suddenly aware of it. And so if you just let it do its own thing, you just let it flow, you read much quicker. You can speed read at that point. And it works for everything that you do. Let's say you're riding a bike. Suddenly you become become aware of the fact that you're riding a bike. Suddenly you have a wreck, you run into a mailbox or whatever.
It's really amazing.
It's changed.
Yeah, there's infinite experience that you can have. The universe is infinite, full of infinite experience. You can experience anything, any life you really want. What it's like to be a criminal, what it's like to be not a criminal, what it's like to be, I don't know, a horse jockey and a famous writer, a photographer. I mean, there really isn't anything you can't tap into and manifest in your life. All you got to do is align your appetite with your will. Get in right relation with that. What is it that you desire? In this particular case, I know we're talking a lot about government and that sort of thing. We're going to totally manifest that. We're all going to manifest that. And, that whole primal virtue of, the even nature not tolerating certain things, that's why people on their own are going out and buying guns like crazy. At the Connecticut gun show the other day, 10,000 people showed up. They had lines. I'd never seen lines for ammunition before, ever.
Everybody wants to get their hands on one as soon as possible just because.
But there were people buying guns that are scared to death of guns, never shot one in their life, but they were buying one.
Have you ever thought about the possibility that that part is also intentionally orchestrated because the so-called elitists own stock in weapons and armory and? Well,
yeah, they've been selling weapons to everybody from Al Qaeda to everybody. I mean, it's no secret that Bin Laden was supplied with our own weapons over here. I mean, that's bullshit. That's that whole Cold War crap that they do. I mean, they don't get it. It's like, you want to take our guns away? Let's do something serious. How about you take all those missiles away And when you get rid of all the nuclear weapons, then we'll talk about rifles. Okay?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, they want to take, like, my guns away from me. That's fine. I'll gladly give up my weapons. If the police force also has no weapons. Or if we're allowed to keep handguns, then the police force can only use handguns. None of these military-grade tanks and you know, AR-15s.
Yeah, we're not asking for tanks and planes.
It's, like, ridiculous that... You know, why, and people argue with me on that point and say that that's not logical, and I'll say, well, why? If the populace is unarmed to the point where they don't have anything near capable of the same impact that the police force is using, why is it that the United States government needs, like, millions of rounds of hollow point ammunition? Why do they need these big guns if we don't have any? Why? Let them give them up, too.
Well,
yeah,
why
and that's
do
where
they
they're not going to.
teeth?
Exactly.
Why
That's
do they
why
have
we're
to
not
have all
going
this
to.
Kevlar and all this tactical armory that they have on their bodies? Why do they need riot shields? You know, why do they need any of these things? You know, because
Armored vehicles.
Yeah, why do they need armored vehicles?
Well,
they're in this
the
country
all the
This
time.
is supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you're at home, you're supposed to be safe at home. This is home. Who the fuck are they fighting against?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, why do they need all this armor? We're not being invaded. This is not our...
Diane,
you know,
a big part of that is because we're becoming privy to this whole Machiavellianism thing going on with the government, this backstabbing the way to the top and just really doing the public wrong. You know, it's gotten so out of hand that everybody is looking for something. They're like, okay, the gods aren't showing up. Nobody's going to help us, you know, help yourself.
Oh, suddenly we're alone and nobody can do anything because we're all living,
yeah.
you know, well,
and
not
what has
us.
happened, Diana? We have fallen back to primal virtue. We have to defend ourselves. You see what I mean?
So full circle.
Yeah, there it is, Derek. There it is. You always come back to primal law and ask your questions from that perspective. It is the one standard whereby every man can rally his forces and clear his mind and get a better perspective on what is fair. Because everybody's integrity is the same. Even the people who are putting us and impressing us like this, I mean, they have a right to exist too, but not to. You know, we're here to create harmony. You know, we're here to experience abundance, and we've been told we can't have it for over 2,000 years. You know, I mean, there was a bicameral mind that was going on. I believe Judith James wrote a book on it, who actually come up with the whole idea of the bicameral mind, which is, you know, about 3,000 years ago, man, whenever he would hear the voice in his head, would think it was the voice of a god or something outside himself. You can see the shift from that thinking by enlightened individuals such as Shakyamuni, Buddha, Jesus Christ himself was one of them. I mean, the whole secret to the Christian religion, or you could even say Jesus' teaching, is simply this. It's internal authority versus external authority. He said, basically, he's trying to teach everybody to get rid of their other gods and accept the I am, to become.
Because they were anarchists.
You could even say that. You could
absolutely, they were
very much so. You know,
self-empowerment, self-government, self-realization,
self-policing.
And this goes back to what Tracy was bringing up about no government. See, humans as a whole have a fundamental goodness to us, and most of us want to live in a world of peace and harmony where we get along and we share things and we enjoy things together, because that's what makes the experience worthwhile. And so there's absolutely no reason that we can't govern ourselves once we realize these things. And each one of us knows what's right and wrong. We don't even have to be taught, don't kill or hurt another human being. We know that as kids that it's wrong. And no constitution needs to tell us that. We don't need a damn piece of paper to tell us how to live our lives.
Yeah, I can't believe we even have to have a piece of paper or the amendment saying that we have a right to defend ourselves.
Rights aren't given. Rights aren't taken away. They are only given away. They can't be taken away. You have it forever until you relinquish that right. You have it.
That's it.
And that's where it comes, where it goes back to laws only apply to those who consent to those laws. And we're reaching a point to where we are no longer consenting to this tyrannical government.
That's it. That's it, Derek.
Tell me I can't speak. Tell me I can't express my opinion. Fuck you. Yes, I will.
Yeah, the more you tell me that, the more I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself in the face with a loaded shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me I can't do something, and you watch to see how quick I get it done. The very thing you don't want me to do.
Right.
You know,
even despite myself, if I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Out of sheer defiance and rebellious and liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have that fundamental need to live as we want to live, so long as we don't hurt others who doesn't deserve or wish to be hurt.
And, you know, it's because of that, too, Derek, that of course we will need some system of law, and we will need some system.
I think that should be societal, though, on down to your direct people that you interact with in your community. We don't need to me where I live, I don't need to govern you where you live and tell y'all how to live in your lives.
Right,
y'all choose your own ways.
Right.
You go where your tribe is. Like us, for example, 4 people, us right here, right now. If we are in agreement, we could go pick a place in North Dakota and live there and create our own society by our own laws. And that's where we build that society, and that would attract other like-minded individuals who want to live in that type of harmony situation.
Well, you know what kills me is that everything that we want is right in front of us. We can manifest it. I mean, if you want to live a wealthy life, a free life without problems like this, then you begin to say it to yourself right now. You command it, you know.
And those who are truly wealthy aren't those who have a lot of toys and a lot of promissory notes.
Yeah,
they're those who are wealth in spirit. They're those who are enlightened within themselves. And see, I don't live...
Thanks for clarifying that, by the way, Derek, because that's exactly what I was talking about. I wasn't even talking about money at all. I was really talking about the wealth, of friendship and family and just love under the sun.
And see, I don't live to tell anyone how they should think about something or what is truth to me isn't a truth to someone else. And so, I preach. I digress. I don't like to use that word. I try to spread the message of individual liberty to where people empower themselves. I can't give power to someone else. They have to create that for themselves.
There it is.
And those who reject that are those who are fundamentally insecure about their own beliefs.
And enslaved at that point.
They absolutely are. It's funny. It reminds me of the pill scene in The Matrix where he said, there is a war, Neo, a war for your mind, because enslavement and freedom and liberty all comes from the mind. We create it.
That's what I'm saying. Again, it all comes back to everything. Every time, no matter what conversation it is or what topic or how it switches, it always comes back to the law of attraction. What are you attracting? So it's good that you know all the details about stuff, but don't let them overrun your mind to where when you begin to actually become emotionally upset, you need to take a break, Derek. I mean, go play a video game, have a beer, breathe some fresh air, thank the universe.
I admit wholeheartedly, I honestly have a love-hate relationship with humanity because
I understand that, Derek.
It makes me feel awesome when I'm spreading information and people are receptive to it. But when others are condescending and they belittle the empowering information that I'm trying to spread to others, it's demoralizing.
Derek,
it does have an effect.
I have an intuition about you, and I have a feeling that after this conversation tonight, especially having been able to share the prime laws and make that absolutely clear, that they can't be questioned. You can try. None of us on this phone call, even I, cannot question those laws, the prime law to exist and the prime law to defend ourselves. All creatures, again, are born with teeth and claws, and that's as close to truth as I can bring that prime law to truth. Because
you were
it is
saying
universal.
you said you have a feeling after this conversation.
I have a feeling that the rest of the stuff that you're going to be writing is going to alter a little bit and is actually going to become very powerful. I think that something
it already
really
is to those who recognize it.
Right, but I
it
think
is
that
ever growing.
Yeah, exactly. I really got this feeling that you're about to get onto your universal level in such a way that finally the universe is going to start speaking through you, and you're going to catch yourself doing it, and you're going to be like, you know what, Quentin was right. This is pretty awesome. I just got some real positive, something really good's coming your way. I got a feeling coming.
Well, it already is, and it already has manifested itself. I mean, I've really my path or awakening, I should say, has accelerated here in the past, I don't know, eight months. Well, I'd say it really accelerated over the past 8 months, but it started about 2 years ago, and it's been like a snowball effect. It's I have always been a rebel. I've always been an individual, liberty-oriented person ever since I was a little kid. I remember being in school and not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance because I felt like I had no desire to do what everyone else was doing. And yep. I just couldn't comprehend why everyone would just do these things. And they would say, well, you have to. And I'd say, no, you don't. Look, I sit here. Yeah, I get in trouble for it, but fuck them. What did they change? What did they change? They had absolutely no effect on me whatsoever because I fully embraced the concept of individual liberty. It was literally born in me. It's born in all of us. We just allow ourselves to be programmed and dumbed down by other morons, really.
Yeah. That's it, Derek. That's the primal virtue that I'm talking about. That rebelness in you, that's primal virtue.
And I am perfect proof that whipping a child doesn't mean shit. My mom will tell you. They would whip me, but I would still do what I wanted to do. I would take my licks because I'm a man. I can handle pain is temporary.
That's why it's good to when it comes to children to try and explore any natural curiosities they may have. To maybe even discover certain hidden talents that normally would go unnoticed.
I'm curious about Derek. Derek, when is your birthday?
4/4/81.
There, okay. I was just curious. He sounds just like me when I was a kid.
Well, a lot of us are like this. A lot of us have
a lot of us are.
And the awakening is really accelerated because of the internet. I mean, there has been no time in the history of humans that we have been able to connect with people all over the fucking world.
And see, that's real important, too. Remember what I was talking about, the manifesting. When you become aware of it, you begin to affect a lot of people. The Internet only expands that consciousness even further. People all over the world are ready to take charge of their lives and quit being led around. Yeah, I mean, it's showing all over the place, I mean, some of these violent acts, those are just suppressions in society,
Yeah.
Bad karma that's created itself.
Right.
So I think, in essence of the conversation, Tracy, do you care if I sum this up, or do you want to do it?
Nope, I'm just listening tonight, so go for it.
I think, in essence of the conversation, I think we can all agree that there are several elements that are creating this unveiling of secrets across the globe, because it's not just in America. And I think that there are several elements that are, they're coexisting together, they're cooperating together to rid this planet of all the corruption, all the deceit, and lead to a more harmonious, loving society. Because this planet, even if you just took off all the inhabitants, it is a living, breathing thing.
It is an organism. It absolutely
It's an organism on its own, yes, and it has every organism.
It's self-sustaining and self-thriving.
Yeah, and so it by itself is saying to us, you guys have got to calm the fuck down.
Right.
You're destroying me, and if you don't stop, I'm going to destroy you.
That word itself is a powerful word.
It is.
It is a very powerful word.
Yep. And the planet itself, with the fact that it's a living, breathing organism, manifests its own reality too. Let's not just think that we're arrogant enough, that we as a race or a species are the only thing that's important in this fucking universe, because that's ridiculous. We're all one, even with the planet, and the planet has its own agenda. It's going to live. Everything, the most primal law is you're going to survive, which is what you said a minute ago, self-preservation. That's all energy knows how to do, is survive. Other energy will give up its own life to sustain life for another. Yeah, you give up one type of energy will expand or extinguish itself in order for other life to exist. Self-preservation, because it's not really being extinguished, it's just giving itself up to something greater, so there's no real dying in anything. So everything that exists as a whole has a primal need to survive, and that's what this planet is going to do. We, as little bitty single organisms, individual organisms, have that same primal need. We want to survive. And if you want to try and come take my guns, I don't own one right now, but I got a bat and a dagger that says that you're not going to get very far through that door without killing me first. I'm not going to just lay down and let somebody tell me, well, no, you can't speak. Fuck you. I'm going to speak all I want. And if you really want to get audacious about it, then try and tell me I can't think the way I want to think. Oh, I'm really going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how man has crawled out of the wilderness, and he was individual, and then he joined the collective consciousness, and of course now here we are returning back to the individual. The whole survival. Nature is always there to guide us when we're ready to just open up and listen. And you're right, Diana. That is exactly what the world is trying to say. Is it's time for you to evolve.
And also, everything is cyclical. Literally everything. And what is a revolution? It is a cycle. It is a cycle that comes full circle and starts over again. That is what a revolution is. And the worldwide revolution awakening is inevitable. The snowball started, and it's inevitable. It is only going to grow more. It is only going to get bigger.
Yeah, and that's what this whole world domination thing is about. Is and it's that too is a collective effort. It's not just in the United States.
Right.
Everybody's in on this. The Bilderbergers, the World Bank. This is not a secret.
It starts at the Vatican, and then spreads out from there.
It's nasty, isn't it, Derek? It really is.
It really, really, really is.
Yeah, but this is going to come back on them in a bad way.
Let me ask you something else. I want to ask you something else. I just want to get your take on this since the Vatican was brought up. Shortly after the 21st of December, I discovered, was it on that day or the day after, something like that, I discovered that the Pope came out publicly and said there was no such thing as a nativity scene, and that if Jesus existed at all, then he was just a man, not a man of God. He was not a man born of, God. He was just a man giving a message. He also came out last year and said that hell does not exist on any physical plane, and in the perspective that the people have taken it and has been traditionally taught. And he basically said that hell is a place in the mind where a soul ends up as a result of what they're thinking,
Well, Diana, it's interesting that the word hell comes from the words helas or hele, which means the subconscious mind. So it really is, us who will punish ourselves, So forgiveness of ourselves is another big step.
Yeah, so thinking about those two aspects, what do you guys think about that, considering that the Vatican is at the root of all religious teaching?
Well, let me say, first off, the modern concept of hell wasn't introduced until Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yeah.
and it's a fictional book. I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah, it is a work
These
of fiction.
religious fanatics base their damn belief on a fictional book that they haven't even read, for that matter. And going back to what you said about if Jesus was just a man, well, that downplays the importance of Mary, doesn't it? And they put Mary up on a much higher pedestal than Jesus. So that means Mary was just a woman. So what is the Pope? He's just a fucking dude. What is, what is any of it?
This is something that's really interesting because, Derek, I know you like symbolism. If you go back about 2,500 years ago to 2,000 years ago, you'll notice two examples would be a statue of Mary holding the child Christ, the baby Christ. Mm-hmm. There's another version of that exact same thing where you can see where that's borrowed from in the Egyptian pantheon where Isis holds the child Horus.
Yep.
Same exact thing. And the whole tree of life.
And Osiris was actually the archetype for Jesus Christ.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
He did everything that they say that Jesus did. Walked on water, he died and resurrected.
Born on the same day.
Yeah, everything.
Exactly. Here's what's going on with that, is the child, and the statue of the child with the mother, okay? The mother represents the universe, that which sustains us, gives us all life, nourishment, bada bing, bada boom. The child represents consciousness itself.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the growth of that consciousness.
That's it. So if we were to carve in symbolic form a human being to represent our consciousness, now that being would be in its teenage years.
Right.
You see what I mean? Because it's not grown up.
I say we are at our adolescence. We are striving to reach adulthood of the evolutionary process of our own consciousness and our own existence.
That's it, man. That's it. And the ancients were trying to leave these messages. This is one of the reasons why I was appointed Grand Hierophant, was because I am fit to know what the clues are, where they are, where all these religious teachings even came from, and what's the true significance that you can benefit from, that you can actually apply to right now, which falls back into science, the law of attraction. But to understand the
because it's all connected again, science and spirituality. There's your missing link.
That's it, bro. That is it. Your insight serves you well.
Derek, before I forget, I need you to, or I'll actually find you on Facebook and add you, because you're just like the epitome of what I look for in someone. I don't like to add just anybody. They've got to be like-minded before they make it to my page.
I did a good job.
Touché.
I did a good job.
And I don't just accept anyone, and that's not because I view myself as superior to anyone. It's because I choose to surround myself with those that I can feed off of, and that we can, in order for any relationship to thrive and progress, it has to be mutually beneficial, 50-50. And I need people that can teach me things just as I can teach them. And that makes it mutually beneficial. And friendship is the fundamental foundation of all relationships, be it a mother-father, father-son, cousins, romantic relationship, whatever it is, it has to be founded upon friendship above all other things.
Yeah, that's my number one marital advice, is the woman has to be your best friend, or the guy has to be your best friend. If not, it may not work.
And it still may not work because people change. We change. Our taste in things, our cells die every 7 years. And then regenerate. And
we're infinite beings. We like infinite experience,
Right.
And right now, that's what we got to be doing, folks. We really need to be going through the universal catalog, flipping the pages, and saying, I want this experience with this person, and I want my world to be like this, and I want no more of this, and that's what it is. And you start focusing on that, it will go away. These negative things, all this bullshit, it can be made to go away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that takes me back to when I was talking about my my journey accelerating over the past, few months. I was very social as a teenager, and I was surrounded with a whole lot of fucked up people that caused me to become antisocial for about a decade. And I was talking to Tracy about this just a little bit just before this show started. I've been antisocial for a long time now, and because of this awakening, I see others are like me, and it's allowing me to come out of my shell now, and it is positive. It has grown, for 10 years I was a deep, individual loner, and I didn't want to be affected by anybody else's bullshit, and it allowed me to retain my sanity, but I was very cynical, very pessimistic, and very negative about everything.
Well, that's actually funny, Derek, because that's what I was going to say I didn't agree. Remember I said I didn't agree with you, but we'll talk about it? I got that pessimism. Go ahead.
I said that, just to tell them what I said that started this conversation, I said, I don't tolerate bullshit of any kind. And I feel that we are in the predicament we're in this world today because too many have tolerated too much bullshit for too long.
Yeah.
And she disagreed with that.
I agree with it.
I don't disagree with that theory.
Okay.
I guess when I read things, I might take them differently, and based on the pulse that I got from the rest of the stuff that I've read about you on your page, etc., you seem to be a more negative person than a positive person.
Well, also,
that's probably
I don't know if
a
you're
side effect
referring
from
to my Facebook page or my blog, but I haven't updated my About Me and my Facebook page for, I don't know, over a year. But if you have a conversation with me, if you take, a minute, exactly. And see, that comes down to individual perception, okay? Your perception about others tells more about you than it does about them, because you create that perception in your mind. Yep, that doesn't mean that the individual is projecting something a certain way. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's perceived reality.
Right.
Yep.
So it may appear negative, but also I'm negative to those who are negative. You fight fire with fire. I do, at least.
It's just you being a mirror, man. I mean, if a person comes up to you real nice, that's going to be reflected back. If they come up to you being a jerk, that's going to be reflected back. I totally understand that.
Well, and also, we're all products of our own environment, and I can't speak for anyone other than myself. And I personally was raised in a very, very, very fucked up environment. And if people read on my blog, I have my life story in a nutshell, and it goes through the first 20 years of my life. And in order to comprehend the way that I am about things, you have to read that. You have to comprehend where I come from. And if we all put ourselves out there like that, we would all have a fundamental comprehension of each other, and without having to convey that in anything else.
I think people are doing that. I'm really, since all the stuff has been happening with all the gun laws and the shootings and everything. I started to get caught up into it, and I can see some of the side effect of being influenced by the lies, because there's some lies here that are just are ridiculous here. Yeah. So it's going to upset you to be mad. But I want you to understand, Derek, that when we get angry, that's a defense mechanism, and that usually happens. And the better 90% of the time, we get angry because someone is lying to us or we're lying to ourselves. You understand the prime laws. You're seeing those broken. So, yeah, you're going to get a little pissed off. And that's good that you have that energy, but make sure that you don't let it consume you, friend.
I don't. It did for a long time, but
yeah.
It doesn't anymore because I recognize it for what it is. And
yeah, and you literally can look at these problems going on in the world and look that problem in the face and say to that problem, you know what? You're not going to last.
Right.
Enjoy your moment of imprinting and conditioning and brainwashing while you're here, but you are not going to last. I am the universe. I understand my primal existence. I'm going to use that, and I will prevail. And that's what will make you a master manifester. Start asking yourself questions, my man. Just keep doing that.
Dude, I question everything. I always have.
Make sure you question.
I used to get in trouble for asking too many questions because my superior, be it my mother or my teacher or whatever, couldn't answer all my questions.
Just make sure aggravated.
Just make sure not to forget to ask yourself what it is you want to feel. So, because sometimes you're going to catch yourself caught up in some of this garbage, and all of a sudden you're going to be feeling crappy, and you may even snap at somebody and catch yourself and be like, because everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
No one's exempt from being human. I mean, and the typical brainwash shit that we go through each and every day with thousands and thousands of messages passing through our minds from the television, the phone, the internet. I mean, holy shit. Make sure you take some time to clear your mind. And if you're one of those people that has so much stuff in their head that they can't seem to clear their mind, then you command your subconscious by saying, hey, new program.
I am. See, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've had insomnia ever since I was born because my gears turn 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And when you mention meditations, I would absolutely love to meditate or learn how, but I can't even fucking get myself to sleep, much less sit in a certain position for a period of time.
But we've all been there, Derek. Every fucking one of us in this conversation have been in the very same place.
I was an insomniac too. I still only sleep about 4 or 5 hours a night.
Well, I've changed the term to I'm just nocturnal. Nocturnal creatures come in all shapes and forms.
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean that humans are all daywalkers. Some of us are nocturnal. I was born at 5:41 p.m., so it's natural that I come alive at dusk. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I totally get that. I
think that has a lot to do with when we, come
That makes me wonder if because I was born at 12:08 p.m. on Christmas Day, if that's why I like to sleep in the noon.
Absolutely. Many things start when we're in the womb, and then when we come out.
Yep.
Well, if you want to learn anything about meditation, I can point you in the right direction and give you some pretty cool tips if you want to friend me on my Facebook page.
I do. I'm really not that confident about it. I mean, I'll definitely friend you regardless of that, but
that's up to you, my friend.
I don't know, man. I don't think that I'm capable of that.
Well, if you don't think it, then you won't be.
Right.
There are lots of tools that can be used outside of meditation. You can do things to quiet the mind, and there are lots of techniques. You just have to find one that works for you, one that's best for you. But basically, it's just getting your brain to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I can't.
And quieting the noise. And it takes practice. It takes time. Because I was like you, I couldn't get my brain to shut up to save my life, and I would find myself laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep and end up my heart would be elevated because I'd be thinking about some stupid shit that hasn't even happened, and arguments that haven't taken place, or just my imagination running wild because I didn't know how to control my imagination. I didn't know how to. I was not even remotely close to being in control of my mind and my body and my spirit and that sort of thing. But it's just a matter of you training yourself and training yourself to be in control of what is going on in your head, because ultimately you're driving your vessel, which is your body. You're the one in charge. In the same way that you would tell the government to go fuck themselves, you can tell your body to go fuck itself. Well, you tell those thoughts, I'm not listening to that shit anymore. You need to shut up and go on somewhere. I'm in charge. I say what goes on in my head.
Yeah,
and if I tell you to shut the fuck up, shut up.
Well, I have an insatiable craving for information and knowledge, and that's really what it all stems from. I have a constant sense of urgency to know everything, and
yep.
I feel for many reasons that my time here is shorter than others. Without going into detail about certain things,
that's fine.
I just I just have that sense of urgency to learn and then to teach, to get it back out there. And that goes back to what we were saying about a vessel. I'm nothing but a filter of information. I receive it and then I recycle it and I put it back out. And
part of the insomnia is because you don't take it off like a jacket. You take it off and say, you know what, I'm going to take you off for a little bit, and I'm just going to let everything go. And then when it's like a person who worries too much. They go, Quint, how do I stop all this worrying? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you take you and put you a little bitty table, about maybe a foot and a half off the ground, a little kid's table in a corner somewhere, put a little bitty kid's chair right next to it, and call that your worry table. And every time you want to go worry, you go sit at that table.
Go to timeout.
Yeah, give yourself a timeout. Well, it's the same thing with emotions, with negative feelings and paradigms and other belief systems or whatever. Sometimes you got that's really the secret to meditation, is learning to take that off. It's sort of like when you get off work, everybody needs that time to cool down, It's the same
down
thing.
Time.
If you don't take it off every once in a while, it'll drive you mad.
I had that same feeling last year when I first started, because I'm like you. My evolution started about 2 years ago. And in the early part of last year, I got a hold of some information. I started going down the rabbit hole, we like to call it, and started I wanted to know why the secret worked. I wanted to know why law of attraction worked. I wanted to know why, right down to the fucking nanos, nanotechnology and quantum physics. I wanted to know why. And because I'm a huge why, I gotta have the why, or I can't function. So I got into that, and the more I found out, the more I wanted, and the more I found, I became a knowledge greed freak.
Yeah,
and I'm still that way. Yeah, knowledge junkie, and I'm still that way to some degree. But now I've slowed down a little bit because I heard some stuff about how sometimes you just kind of, like what Quentin just said, you need to unplug.
Yeah. And it's difficult to do.
It is difficult to do. It takes time. It takes practice. Yeah, it takes practice, but you will get there. If that's what you really want, if you really want to be in control of what goes on in your head and how you manifest reality, and I wanted that. My ultimate goal was to get to the highest level of consciousness that this body would inhabit or could achieve. And so, but anyway, when you really, really, really want to get in control of your brain and your thoughts, and you want to be the one driving your ship, and instead of letting it just do its own thing, you will get there. And it will take practice. It won't take a lot, because it sounds to me like you're kind of like me in that aspect. You pick up knowledge really quick. You're like a fucking sponge with it, and you take it, you apply it, and you run with it. And it becomes very quick. It's a very quick process for you. Where other people, it's just not.
Right.
But with you, it's not going to take that long. It won't take that long for you to start to be in command of your thoughts and your mind, and be deliberate about what you think.
Well, I'm certainly in command. It's just a matter of I don't get sleepy, but every other day or so,
Then that's really not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
If it's what your body's used to, shit, run with that. Because
that's
we didn't
what
have
I say.
to get a lot more done.
I've been this way ever since I can remember.
That's pretty cool.
And honestly, if I feel like if I were to try to go against that, I'm going against my very nature, and that's when you have a backlash. That's when
that's not exactly what I was talking about as far as going against your nature. It was really just basically making sure you make some you time where you take off all that stress off of you and give it a break, even if it's just for a few minutes.
I do. I mean, I go through a cycle to where.
Do you?
Because
you can tell you've got a lot of energy pent up, and you can. It's obvious that there's a goal that you're shooting for that you haven't reached yet.
Yeah.
That's burning inside you. It feels like it's burning in a good way.
Yeah. Well, my energy's strong. It
is.
It's very strong. It's almost overwhelming to myself at times, and to others. I mean, Many people have said, Derek, you're too much. And my reply is always,
No.
I know, you have no fucking idea. You deal with me part of the time. I deal with me all the fucking time.
And that's great. I love how, actually, you seem like a very great guy. There was one thing you said, though, that I didn't agree with, and that was when you said, I don't speak for other people. Well, guess what? Actually, you do. And actually, you are.
I don't take that responsibility, though, because
I understand
each individual is responsible for themselves.
Hear me out, though.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, actually, your voice is very needed. And there are a lot of people who don't know the right things to say, or maybe they're incapable of doing the research, but you're saying things that all of us are saying.
Right.
And so, yes, actually, in a way, you're speaking a little bit for me, too, because you want me to have that individual experience.
I get that.
Yeah, see what I mean? So
my cousins have referred to me as the voice.
Yeah, well, you're very important, Derek. All of us.
We all are, right.
Yeah, everyone is a key to unlocking consciousness on this planet, and it's powerful with us. It's just like in Star Wars, the Force is strong with this one. Well, that's what it is, and the more powerful we get, or the more the more feelings we develop for it, the more it manifests. You're going to keep getting exactly what you look for.
Okay, guys. Tracy, you want to wrap it up?
Yes, sure. I was a very, very willing listener today to this conversation and stayed quiet on purpose.
I know. I love these guys.
I just liked listening. I could have added things at certain points, but for once I just kept my big freaking mouth shut. So, thank you guys so much. Yeah, well, it was good. It was good. I'm laying here on the couch. I'm listening. It's good stuff. So, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight for the past 2 hours. It flew by. We are back next week, and we're probably going to be switching time slots in a little bit. We'll have to talk to the guys about that. But thanks again for listening to another episode of The Show with No Name with Diana White and Tracy Diaz.
And thank you for having me.
Me as well.
Hey, everybody.
Anytime, guys. You guys are welcome anytime. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.